it's Mike here again. Today I get to do something I don't normally get to do at AutoGuide, and that's drive a entry-level vehicle. Okay, calling the all-new third-generation Porsche Panamera entry-level is a bit of a stretch, but this is the Panamera 4, which means no e-hybrid, no turbo, none of that stuff, just good old entry-level goodness. The question is the Panamera still special as an entry-level vehicle? Does it still have that Porsche magic? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's go take it for a drive. Although it is all new, the Porsche Panamera is easily recognizable. Styling hasn't changed too much. You have the upgraded 4 LED headlights. Down here are some big vents to cool the engine and those turbos. Around the side, on the side profile, there's a bit of a fender flare front and rear to give the car a little more character. These mirrors have aero pass-throughs. There's the vent on the front, and the overall shape is still very Panamera, but it seems to, I don't know, just blend better. It just seems to be well in proportion all around and not awkward. Not like the old one was awkward, but every generation Porsche seems to make the car more and more cohesive. Moving to the back of the car, this is where Porsche has really put a lot of time and effort in. It has a much more 911 look to it, the way that taillight curves around the entire body. And Porsche themselves say the goal here was to emphasize the width of the car, and I think it works, because especially the first generation, the passenger compartment kind of seemed to stick up out of the body, and it was a little awkward. This does not. Down here we have the silver finish sport exhaust tips. It's not the actual sport exhaust, but it is the silver tips. Over here we have some massive tires, 325/30 ZR21s. They are super wide, and they have some meaty brakes to go with them. And back here is the full air suspension. You can see how the roof kind of curves down, but there's still ample passenger space. And then the front wheels have big meaty brakes to try to stop this near 4,400 pound car. So Porsche hasn't really done anything too crazy or different with this third generation Panamera. They've kept it quite similar in terms of styling, feel, and even performance. They've obviously improved all those things a little bit here and there, as this V6 model feels faster than previous ones, and it's got new technology and slightly wider looking styling. But anyone who owns one or likes the model is going to instantly know what this new one is, and so will people who maybe aren't ever going to buy one, but they like the car. Again, they're going to know what it is. And that's sort of important when you're getting not really a halo model, but a model that has some prestige to it. To use a real old and tired cliche, the Panamera 4 really is more than the sum of its parts. If you look at just the spec sheet, you'd see 348 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque in a car that weighs almost 4,400 pounds. So I wouldn't blame you for thinking it's going to be slow. But Porsche claims it can do 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.7 seconds, and they're usually pretty conservative. If you get the Sport Chrono package, it's even faster. And from behind the wheel, I don't think they're wrong. When you hit the gas, the V6 screams to life, and you fly down the road way faster than you're expecting. I'll hand it to the engineers for the way they designed and tuned the 2.9 liter V6 and the way the 8-speed dual clutch transmission reacts. They've really kind of defied physics here. And the engine and transmission aren't designed just to get quick 0 to 60 times. Even at freeway speeds, like over 70 miles an hour, the rate in which the Panamera can accumulate speed is pretty impressive, and it'll go all the way over 160 miles an hour if you have somewhere that you can do that. The other nice thing is I hear nice little turbo noises from under the hood as I go through the gears, especially driving on the city. You hear a little over and over again. It's kind of nice. Speaking of sound, this does have the sport silver tailpipe finish, some option like that makes the tailpipe sort of a shiny silver. But it's missing the sport exhaust. It is an option, and it's one I'd probably get. Why? Does it do anything to make the car better? No, but I like to control the volume. It's just the way I am. So if I want the car loud, it can be loud. If I want it quiet, it can be quiet. This way, the only time the engine gets loud is when you're really in the higher RPMs gunning it down the road. Now, as I said, it has the upgraded tires, and even though it weighs 4,400 pounds, These high performance, lower profile tires provide so much grip. Like watch, I'm just gonna rip around an on-ramp here, and there's just so much, way more than you'd ever expect in something this big and this heavy. As I near the limits of grip, I can feel that the front tires start to squirm around a bit, which is expected for how long this wheelbase is and the weight distribution. But the fact it goes that far before getting to that point and you can hang on for so long is pretty impressive. I can't even imagine what sort of maneuver someone would have to do to break those rear tires loose in daily driving. On the downside, I also can't imagine what it's going to cost to replace one of those. The way this Panamera 4 is outfitted, there's only two drive modes, normal and sport. The nice thing is they're both fully customizable, but there's not much you can do. You can change the suspension stiffness and the ride height. The normal and sport also let you drive with the spoiler extended all the time, which I am definitely not going to do. And normal lets you turn off the auto start stop, which is a pretty good idea. It's a bit annoying. But back to that adjustable suspension. There is such a difference in feel between normal and Sport Plus. Sport Plus really limits body roll nearly completely, but if you hit a pothole in the road, it's gonna feel like your tire's getting ripped off from the frame. Whereas in normal, you can go over a broken road and it's quite comfortable. It rivals some of the best luxury cars out there. Porsche's done a really good job calibrating and separating the two. There's a lot of cars that have adjustable suspension where you can barely feel a difference, if any at all. So kudos to them. Okay, we should talk luxury because this is, after all, a sporty luxury car. So inside, I like what Porsche's done with the new design interior. We first sampled it in the Cayenne. Gone is the giant array of buttons and switches that used to be in the center stack. There's still a couple switches to do with the climate control, but most of it is a haptic touchscreen now. The infotainment screen is laid out cleanly and logically. It'll take a little while to get used to, but same with anyone's system. I like the digital dash. This has the upgraded option where the passenger has their own infotainment screen, so they can look at or do things opposite from what the main one's doing. I like in this car the two-tone interior. The white and the black contrast nicely, and there's some cool trim details like this brushed sort of satin gold line on the door that goes into the door handle. I personally wouldn't pick this interior color because I have an 8-year-old and a small dog, but if you can keep it clean, it looks great. A nice thing about Porsche is they'll let you outfit a car almost any way you want. Even this, the Panamera 4, which is close to an entry-level vehicle, has a giant option list. This specific car has some cool things selected, like that extra screen for the passenger, those 21-inch wheels with the super wide tires, this interior upgrade. But there is one thing missing that seems odd, especially at this price point. There's no ventilated seats. Yeah, it's an option, and so is massage seats, but this only has heated seats, and it's summer and it's hot and my back wants to be cooled down. And now for the giant greenback elephant in the room, and that is price. The Panamera 4 starts at a price of over $100,000. When you compare it to similarly sized, slightly more powerful competitors like the Mercedes E450 4MATIC, BMW 540 xDrive, the Genesis G80 3.5T all-wheel drive, those all start in the $60,000 to $67,000 range. That's a big difference. Now, if you option them up to sort of match the level of luxury and sport this car has, they do get a lot closer. But this Panamera 4 also has over $30,000 in extras put on top. So it's a case of, if you want this, you gotta pay for it. And for some people, that's fine, because if you're looking for performance and then with practicality on the side, this is it. You're not going to find much else in this size and class that drives this well and still offers some decent luxury. And let's also be very honest here. Part of the Porsche buying experience is getting that crest on the hood. There's sort of an aura and mystique with the brand that a lot of people want to be a part of. It maybe to just feel good themselves, impress their neighbors, whatever. Some people like to impress their neighbors. Don't judge them. That's what they like to do. It's their money. Helping comfort, of course, is the 2+1 seating upgrade, which basically puts emphasis on the two outboard seats. And there is a middle seat, but it's not anywhere anyone's really going to want to sit long term. You could just maybe put a child there for a couple minutes. So even as a more entry-level Panamera 4, this still feels Porsche special. But you also got to pay the Porsche premium. And as I said earlier, it's up to you to decide if that's worth it or not. If it were up to me, I think I'd wait a year and get one of the e-hybrids. But regardless of choice, the third generation Panamera still continues proudly in the Porsche tradition and is a lot of fun for its size.